Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to use WorldEdit. Kind of briefly, I won't be able to cover everything, but I'll at least show you the stuff that I've learned. I mean, I don't know everything that's in the guide or their wiki, but I'm still learning, whatever. So, I'm going to start off, I'm just going to show you guys how to flatten like a large area of land. Um, Starting with, well, let's just start with this forest area here. Okay, so say you want to clear out all the trees first, which I recommend because chances are when you're done you're going to be smoothing some stuff and trees just completely muck everything up when you're doing that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to grab some sort of an item, usually a tool that isn't used for any of your other mods. For me, wood pick isn't used for anything, so I'm going to be using that as my brush tool. Alright, so for WorldEdit, there's two tools typically. You've got your main wooden axe. That's the tool that lets you select corners of a cuboid, which is what they call a box that you would select. To give you, well, I'll give you an example of that here in just a bit once I start building on this emptied out plot. But first, I'm going to empty out a plot. So I'm going to grab a pickaxe here, and the first command I'm going to type is let's see, brush. S-P-H-E-R-E, sphere, and 0. Basically what this is saying is I want to bind the brush tool, sphere shape, with material 0, which is air, and I'm going to type in 16 as my size here. This is a really big brush, so it's kind of dangerous. And you can see if I click immediately that I just destroy 16 blocks radius of area, which I don't want to do. So the first tool you're going to want to, or the first command you're going to want to learn is undo. That's / undo, and there you go. It puts everything right back. Now that won't always work as well as you would hope, and if something's really big, I found undoing a change, like say you paste like a full chunk, and you undo, it might crash your client, or worse yet, it might crash your server, at which point you'll never be able to undo. If it crashes your client, then you'll be fine as long as you can join back into the game soon enough. I think it holds your undos for like 10 minutes maybe. So, what I'm going to do here, since obviously that's destroying everything, I want to set what's called a mask, and that means whatever tool you're using will only affect certain objects. So in this case we're going to do / mask, and basically you type in the materials that you want it to affect with commas between them. In this case I want to do the tree blocks and leaves and probably tall grass. I want to go ahead and get rid of any of that other stuff, so I'm just going to start typing these in. Tree, comma, leaves, comma, tall grass. Let's go ahead and do yellow flowers. Yellow flower, I believe red rose is the name for that one. Reeds, I think it's just reed. And just hit enter, and if it gives you no errors, that means it recognized all the names and that you now have a match set. So now if I click, you'll see it now doesn't touch the dirt or the stone or anything, it only touches the stuff that I told it to. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's just clear out a large portion of these trees here. There's also another really helpful tree, say after you've smoothed, or if you wind up, still having had a few trees left over that are kind of disconnected from the ground and all screwed up. There's a tool called delete tree, and that will allow you to, with one click, delete any tree that is not connected to anything. It won't delete a regular tree that's on the ground, but it will let you immediately kill one that's just sort of floating and broken. So that's kind of helpful. Okay, so I've cleared out the area, no trees left now. So now what I want to do is flatten this. The easiest way to do that I know of is using a cylinder brush, and you can set a height to it. So I'll show you the command first and then demonstrate exactly what it does. So I'm going to do / brush CYL for cylinder, and then I'm going to do 0 for the material, and the radius will be 32. Well, let's do 16 in this case. you kind of want to refrain from overdoing things with WorldEdit because it is incredibly powerful and you can cause a lot of havoc. Okay, so you can see I'm clicking here, it's doing nothing. That's because my mask is still set. So I do mask with no arguments, we'll just disable it. Now if I click, bam, it'll delete everything within that area. Okay, so I'm just going to use that to sort of level out this mountain here. Just kind of clicking on all these little dirt chunks. One thing to note, like it will do whatever command you're saying around the block that you're clicking. So if I click on this, bam, it'll drop just that area down. But if I click down here, like say underneath the surface, which now for some reason isn't working, there it goes, it's kind of lagging, that will completely clear out the area below where you're at. So now you could get around that by setting a height to the cylinder so that it will still grab everything above it too. And I'm actually going to do that just because it's usually a good idea. It's going to give it a height of 10. And what that'll mean is now if I click down here, it'll still destroy everything above that. So that's cool. Okay, so we're clearing out stuff here. Now obviously you can see how powerful this tool can be, and it should be kind of immediately obvious why you don't want to just give this to anybody on your server, because people can just immediately wreak havoc. And the big issue is I don't think any of the logging tools out there or rollback tools like Big Brother, Log Block, or Hawkeye, I don't think any of those log these changes. So once something is gone with this, apart from being able to use undo, which again you can't use if the server resets or if it's been, I think, more than 10 minutes, then you can't use undo. So past that, there's no way at all to recover these things. You can regenerate an area from scratch, which would be just like when you first got there. No buildings will come back or anything. And if you do have some of the logging tools, you might be able to sort of try and do like a replay of the building of the areas, but that really doesn't work out too well in practice. So never a good idea to give this to anyone and everyone. Alright, so I'll probably fast forward through the video at this point and sort of show you me clearing it off. I'm ignoring my players right now because I'm making a video. And at this point I'm going to switch to a 32 width brush, which is what I've set the max up as in my config. Which you definitely want to mess with your configuration and make sure everything's set up in a way that's not going to screw you over. I think by default the max size is actually just 5, which is very small. Okay, so we got that now. So now I'm going to grab that brush again. Now I set the height to just 0 again, or just not set a height. And I actually want to change the material to grass. And set the mask to dirt, comma, stone. Let's do coal, ore, gravel. That ought to be enough. Right, you can see now if I click, it's not going to mess with any of the water or any of the air. This will just paint solely in the area that you choose. Now actually over here I do want to fill in this area, so I'm going to get rid of the mask just temporarily. And I'm going to set the radius down to like 8, just so I'm have a little more control over what I'm doing here. And you can actually set a negative height, but the annoying thing is it starts one block below where you start, or where you're clicking, so Oops, there we go. Now my mask is disabled. Okay, filling this up. Now I'm doing this all with the grass, which would technically look kind of weird, but that should all fade into dirt after a little while, so all the stuff that's not on the top. I'm a little overly picky with stuff like that, like if people are world editing and they don't, match the materials around what they're doing, so I always try and keep it looking kind of natural. And if you're good at world edit, then you can definitely, keep it looking good for sure. Okay, got that. Let me extend this out a little bit. Okay. Go ahead and give it a little bit of a contour here. Now you could very easily have technically flattened this area just by doing, a cuboid selection and just deleting it all and laying grass at the bottom, but it usually doesn't wind up looking nearly as natural, because you're just gonna have these harsh borders and stuff. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. Let me go ahead and fill in this area too. Lastly, let me set this back to 0. Clear out some of these weird areas. Cool. Now, all this stuff we're going to be smoothing over, so any little overhangs and stuff like that you don't really have to worry about. Set this back to grass. Now the cool thing is you can set your brush to a mixture of elements, which I'll show you here shortly. Get rid of these. Oops. Okay, so we went ahead and done that. Let me lastly fill in this little area, and we'll call this good to go. Now you can tell I'm not trying to make it like stone underneath and everything how it should be, so this isn't as perfect as some people may want, but whatever. Slash God. Now I actually need to do that sphere brush again. If I can find that in my here we go, brush 16, and let's do the mask that I had before, the crazy one that has all these trees and everything in it. There it is. Yeah, so up arrow in your command or in your chat is sort of your best friend with WorldEdit. I'm not aware of if there's any mods that make it easier to get all these commands typed in, or maybe even give you like a menu. It would be awesome if there's like a Spoutcraft plugin or something for it. I'm sure there is. So, but without it, you can still do a lot of good stuff. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is tool, tree, and I'm going to do big tree. What this tool does is it plants trees. So anywhere that you've been destroying every little tree and it's not quite looking natural anymore, you can now just start walking around and plant them. So what that was / tool tree, and then you can just leave it at that, or you can give it a type of tree and it'll do that specific type of tree. So I could type in jungle tree or birch at the end there, and it will do that sort of tree. And all these variables, of course, are on their site. You can find out what's what and all that. Okay, so we're pretty good here. Alright, so now let's say I want to build a building. I'm not going to build anything amazing or awesome, but I'm going to build something enough to show you the different commands. Okay, so first I'm going to explain to you how cuboids work, because cuboid is kind of an alien thing to people who haven't really messed with that before. It can be hard to understand, but it's really quite simple. Okay, so let's say I want to select a box. Well, what's the easiest way to select a box? Well, selecting the two opposite corners would be the best option, I think. So you can see if I selected this square and I selected this square down here, the area that it's selecting would be, I could actually pretty easily show you this by just typing in a command, but would be this area, and then up here as well. Oops. So everything inside of these cubes would be selected. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to select this. Okay, so this, you have to do it with the wand. This is the wooden axe, and you can get that just by typing / wand. I've already got one, but I just gave myself another. As long as you have a wooden axe, it'll work as the wand, whether or not you type in that command. So you could just do /I wand or whatever. Okay, so I just selected both these corners here with left and right click. Left will choose your first point, right will choose your second point, and I'm going to type in a command walls, W-A-L-L-S. All of the WorldEdit commands have 2 slashes in front of them. I'm just going to do walls glass, and it'll set everything inside of that cuboid to be glass. Or in this case, the walls command will just do walls for the outside. Okay, now say I want to set the whole thing to a solid block of glass. Well, that is / set, and then the material name. You can use either numbers, the name, so I could do / 98 to get smooth brick, or I could do 98 tree to get the decorative brick. You just put a semicolon and then the data value number. So that's how you would do colored wool. For example, say I want to do red wool, I would do wool 14. Or I could do, I think it's 35 or 15, I can't quite remember the number for wool. Yeah, 35 I guess is, yeah, 35 is wool. I thought it might have been 15. I haven't done too much of it with the numbers, but okay. So we've got this block of wool. Now let's say we want to set, maybe we want to stack this up. Let's say we want to stack this 2 times as high. So let's do, or it'll add 2 copies of it to the top of this. We would do / stack 2, and then the direction, which is up. You can see now it's doubled the, I guess tripled the height of this. It added 2 copies of it to the top. Now I'm going to undo that because that's not actually what I wanted to do. Now, one thing to note is even after you change stuff, your selection area does not change. So to demonstrate this, let me use the move command. Let's do move 16 up. But now if I run move 16 down, nothing's going to happen, or technically it's actually moving the air down below the ground. So that's not what we want. We're going to do that, and then so to have the selection move with the object that you're moving, you then have to run a shift command, and that shifts your region. So let's do shift 16 up, and now I have the same area selected that we just put all that wool into. And now I could do move 16 down, move it right back down to where it was, and then shift 16 down to move my selection back around this guy. Now it kind of sucks that the selection is invisible. It would be nice if there's a mod that shows you where your selection is. You just kind of have to think about it and remember where things are. Now a couple more commands. Well, first off, let me finish up the set command showing you how to do multiple materials. You can do set, and then let's say we want 50% dirt, comma 50% glass. Bam, there you go, and it will just randomly distribute this. So this is a good way for you to say generate the natural distribution of ores and stuff in stone. I'm not sure exactly what the real percentages are, but let's just say coal ore 10% and the 50% or the 90% now. We'll just do stone. There you go, and that looks fairly natural. Or if you want something to be back exactly how it was when the world was generated, you can actually run the //regen command, and that will set that cuboid to be exactly how it was. Now this used to be in the middle of a mountain, if you remember, that I removed. Now the weird thing is it tends to regenerate trees and stuff, but it'll do that around the whole block, not necessarily just where you selected, so that's just something to take note of. I don't think these would intersect buildings or anything, but it is kind of confusing, and if you undo, these won't go away, so kind of annoying. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's just sort of the way Minecraft's level generation code works, because literally what that's doing is it's running the level generation code again and setting that specifically to your area, but it doesn't seem to set it correctly for the actual trees. So, trees or the grass, you'll see there's grass here too. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to do set 0 here to get rid of this box, and let's build a quick building. Okay, so I want a box over here. Let's just say I want the other corner to be over here. I'll just select one, select the other. Let's do walls 98. Oops, / walls 98. And there we go. And now I could either do a stack command to move this up, but bear in mind that's going to technically be stacking everything inside too. So say you placed a chest in here, it would stack that up too. Or I could just do expand, let's say 4 up, and then run that walls command again, and that will raise up my walls. Okay, now I just want the top of this to be a different material. Let's do walls 98 3 to get the decorative stone on the top there. Cool. Alright, now let's say we want to have there's actually a way to generate like a pyramid, which you can use for roofs and stuff, but I honestly don't remember how to do it. It's kind of a complicated command. WorldEdit has the ability to run scripts for the actual for the actual generation of the block. So they've got one that will generate a maze. They've got one that will create like a flat pixel art version of an image, which I have never gotten to work correctly, but it does exist somehow. Yeah, anyway, so this is our crappy building. So now I'm going to build a cool roof and show you a couple other useful commands to do that. I'm going to show you the expand command. What this does is it will push your selection in whichever direction you say. It'll move the farthest side of your selection in whichever direction you tell it to, or if you're facing a direction and don't type in a direction, it'll just push it whichever way you're facing, provided you're pretty accurately facing down a cardinal direction. If you're looking at like 45 degrees, it won't really work. It'll complain that it doesn't understand the direction you're looking. Anyway, so I want to do expand 1 in that direction, and again it's just going the direction I'm facing, so it just expanded my selection out 1 that direction. Now I'm just going to run that same command while facing each of these edges, and I think there's actually something you can type in as a direction, like expand 1 something, that will just expand it out in all horizontal directions. You can do expand vert, and that will select all the way up to the highest builded, the highest block that you can build, all the way to the lowest bedrock, which is really just used to, I would say, to make protections for regions and stuff. But you can use that to sort of generate a whole chunk if you wanted to. There's also a way to select a whole chunk, and I imagine that's what the regeneration command was originally really made for. Anyway, so I've expanded my selection, so let's do walls 98 2, just so we can see it's a different material. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's do shift 1 up. Now I'm going to do contract 1. Do that around all these. That's the opposite of expand. Okay, and I've already shifted it up 1, so let's run that same set command, or the walls command, and there we go. Now we've got that stacked up, sort of tiered, and now I could really keep doing this do shift 1 up, contract 1, contract 1, contract 1, and contract 1. And if there is a command to make you not have to type contract over and over again, that would be kind of cool. Walls again. So you can see how this saves you quite a bit of time, even if it is kind of complex. Contract 1, contract 1, contract 1, and contract 1. Walls again, there we go. So I'll fast forward through this part of the video a little bit. Okay, so this is our mostly WorldEdit building. Yeah, now you can just start to cut in your doors and stuff. And I want to set the floor to be a different material, so I'm just going to grab the lowest thing of my building, and then I'm going to shift it down 1 to get it on the ground. Shift 1 down. And let's do set 98, 3. Gotta love that decorative stone. There you go. And yeah, so I mean, this is in general how to use WorldEdit. Oh, right. There are a couple more commands I want to show you guys that are the copy, rotate, paste, and how those work. They're very powerful things. Okay, so I just placed these blocks to sort of select out as far as this roof is. And once you select on a block, you can delete that block, so it's no longer going to be in your selection, but your selection is still in the same area. Shift 1 down. Let's just do expand 10 up. I don't know how far it was. Okay, now copy. When you first copy, it copies relative to where you're standing. So I'm going to stand right at the door just so I have a good reference as to where it's going to go. Now when I paste, and I'm just going to do copy. There we go. And then there's actually a flag you can throw in copied at a paste at the place that it was originally copied at. So that's kind of handy. We actually used that. We had an alias on our old server to regenerate the floor of a building. We just copied it, saved it as a schematic, which I'll show you as well. And then when you ran a command, it would just load the schematic and paste it at its original copy position. Okay, I'm going to copy that again since I got rid of those leaves. And then I'm actually going to do set 0 just to make sure I got everything. Nope, I didn't. So let's undo and expand another 2. Oops, shit. Contract 2. Expand 2 up. There we go. Copy. Oop, I want to be next to the door before I copy. There we go. Now if I do set 0 again. Oh no, contract. Okay, so the annoying thing about contract is it doesn't contract the far side, it contracts your close side. So let me undo that. Actually, I'm just going to reselect this cuboid. That's annoying. I don't get why it works differently from the expand. I mean, typically, if you expand and you didn't want to, then the logical thing you would do then is contract to try and get it back, but that doesn't work. So expand 12 up and expand 1 down. Okay. Copy, set 0. Let's make sure we got everything. We do. Okay. So we've got this copied. So now if we want to paste a clone of it, I can just go wherever I want it and do / paste. There we go. You can see it pasted relative to where it was. However, it does not paste relative to the direction I'm facing. So say I wanted one over here, and I do / paste, then I've actually just overwrote part of my house on the back, which in this case didn't work out too bad, and I kind of just have a longer house now. But that's not what I wanted. Now, if you do want to do that, what you have to do is run the rotate command. So I can do rotate 180. It'll rotate in any value of 90 degrees. So 90, 180, 270, or 360. 360 obviously would be pointless. Yeah, but now we've done that, and now I can do paste, and you can see now it's relative to, essentially relative to the way I'm facing. And now we have two of those pasted up the same way. Now I'm not sure. I believe it'll even rotate, things like chests, torches, things that sort of have a direction they're facing. But I have had issues with pasting and having chests facing the wrong direction, especially with double chests. You can sometimes get some issues, but sort of a non-issue to just recreate those. So yeah, that's this. Lastly, if you want to save out a schematic that you can then reload at any time and not have to have it always on your clipboard to deal with it, I could do / schematic, or just skim, I think is allowed. Save, and then you give it a name. So let's do little house. Little house saved. Now if I wanted to do that again, like say, I'm just going to copy these blocks randomly, just so that is no longer in my clipboard, and you can see, I just pasted and it's no longer there. So now if I do / skim load little house loaded, paste it with paste, it immediately puts it on your clipboard, and there you go. I can just and since I had it rotated before it pasted behind me, but yeah, so that is how you do that. Let me just undo this whole building since I can. Yeah, and you have a limit as far as how many things you can actually undo, so this is as far back as I can go. I believe the limit is like 15, or it might just be 10. I didn't really pay attention to how many I typed there. Yeah, so anyway, I hope this is useful to you guys. If you got any questions, just put them in the comments. Thanks. See ya.